Yeah.
No kidding, yeah. And I think this guy had the ability to control all the guns or something like that, right?
I'm not sure. I think all those hadn't really as much about it as the B-17.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Too tall. They built the bit when they drug the airplane over. Good money, huh? Right up here.
I'm going forward.
They crawl back and forth. You'll get to be able to look at that and get up to the cockpit and look back. Kind of have an appreciation that the people that were flying this aircraft for 18
There's another hatch that you look at from the outside, I guess, with the tail. You can see way back there. Surely he didn't sit here.
Oh, this. Yeah, I think this was a turret gunner.
The turret gun, yeah.
But like I said, I think he has the ability to control more than one gun. He's got some computer aiming system in there.
The engines we've replaced, we've actually got a different engine on this. They're the same Curtiss Wright R3350s, but they're a different series that they had during the war. They had a lot of problems with the engines during the war, and as far as reliability, they burned up on a regular basis. And I've talked to crew chiefs that said if we got 200 hours of flying time on an engine, that was all we were going to get. They would replace it.
Got banks of cylinders and
Two banks of cylinders, 9 and 9 on the engines. The problem that they had was on the aft bank of cylinders, the exhaust went straight aft, and that was fine. On the front bank of cylinders, they designed it so the exhaust came out the front, wrapped around the cylinder head, and then went aft. The problem was is it went around that cylinder head, it was just baking the cylinder and basically burning up the engine. So the later series, they finally figured that out and redesigned it, but the early series was very unreliable. We had more airplanes that went down because of engine problems that got shot down.
Wasn't there a period of time after World War II that there was a structural problem with it, that some of the wings were falling off? Seems like I've read that somewhere. No? They just got rid of them all because the war was over and they didn't need anything.
Well, they kept them through the Korean War, but then they were getting shot down by the MiG-15s because they were too fast. They couldn't defend against them. It was at that point, roughly in the mid-50s when the B-47 came out, it was a jet age. They didn't want propellers anymore.
Well, the weird thing is, though, the B-36 was around during the Korean War.
It was.
They chose just to use all the surplus B-29s.
Well, it wasn't a surplus B-29. The 36 was its own aircraft by itself. It was a unique airframe all by itself. But they did use 29s briefly during the war. Ready?
Yeah.
Come on up. Oh, let's take probably 4 of you at least. No, they're coming back down this ladder at the front. So watch your head when you get up there. It gets a little bit low and it's easier to stick a leg through.
You need to get you and I can have the $5 bet.
Did you? Wonderful.
Well, you better. Well, we can't beat Alabama.
Have faith, my friend. I'm an Auburn fan, so have faith.
I'm scared to go over there.
That's fantastic. Good for you.
Well, that's not a ball game with Auburn.
So is this where little boy or Fat Man would have sat then?
This would have been where they were. They only carried him in the forward bomb bay.
This is where Fat Man and Little Boy was. And all of them
They had to modify it, I think, right?
They had to modify the bomb bay doors for it to be able to fit in here.
Okay, and I know that they have to have a special pit in the ground, too. They couldn't, it was too wide.
Look at that.
It was too tall to be able to put it under there normally, so they built a pit in the ground and they rolled the airplane over the top of it, and then they hoisted it up
That's
out.
the tunnel.
What was the payload capacity of this?
20,000 pounds of bombs, 10,000 front, 10,000 in the back.
Wow.
So there was no tail
from the
gunner in
front
the
to
back?
the
Wasn't it
back.
an
Yeah.
electron? It was.
No.
Pressurized.
There was a tail gunner
There
in the
was a
back.
gun.
It was separately pressurized. He had his own guns that he controlled. The other guns were all remotely controlled, and the captain, the gun captain, sat in the back here and controlled all of the guns. Either the left gunner or the right gunner would get assigned for whatever target they were going to shoot at.
Try to look back here. You can see this is the wing spar coming back to the middle of the.
Yeah, that's the main wing spar there.
Right here.
Yeah, that's the wing. You see it, so it's one piece going all the way.
Yeah. And this is the B-29 that was built in Wichita, so it was all one piece, as he said. The B-29A that was built up in Renton, Washington, had stub wings, and they attached the wings on stubs. So they were different models. The They was both B-29s, but a little different series.
So they essentially stopped building these in 45 when the war was over.
They did. Production stopped, I don't know if it was September, November, somewhere in that time frame of 45. They just kept airplanes that they had up through Korea. This aircraft went out of service in 1956.
Head coach at LSU, Paul Diesel, was a B-29 pilot.
Wow.
And he flew, I don't know how many missions, 17 missions and some over Japan. Nobody knew that. I mean,
Is that right?
Yeah, he said, yeah, I was
About
through
that.
17 missions.
Yeah.
Paul
We've got
Diesel.
Yeah. Yeah, we might give them a minute. They're a little crowded up there.
So to get to the tail section of the aircraft, you have to crawl through this tube?
Yeah, when you get up there, you'll be able to look back. This
Okay.
tube goes all the way back to
That
where the
tube's
gunner's sat.
pressurized.
It's pressurized.
So you
as
literally
well.
have to army crawl through there, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Sounds claustrophobic.
It could be. If you had that problem, you would have a problem.
I didn't realize until the other day that George McGovern flew a B-24.
Yeah.
Oh?
Yeah.
Oh, be darned. It's from my
When I bought Paul Diesel's book, I saw a picture of him in front of a B-29. What is this? He said, well, I flew 17 missions.
Wow.
Yeah, from what's that island in the Pacific to Japan.
Tinian or Saipan.
He was a-
bases.
That was the two main bases.
They also flew some off of Guam and some were based in China, but the main ones were Tinian and
So
Saipan.
how far was it from Tinian to like Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Was it
I don't know the exact miles, but they would be
It's a long
flying
way.
anywhere from 14 to 16 hours was common for a mission time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they were
So
long.
7 or 8 hours one way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were long
It was probably
missions.
more than 1,000 miles.
The Japs wouldn't come up out of them, and they were weak.
Well, towards the end, they didn't have any pilots. They just didn't have people that could.
You okay?
Go ahead.
He's
Go
ready for
ahead.
one or two. Go, a couple of you go ahead on up there. Watch your head. You can get up close to the tube there. Got to get short. Easier if you stick one leg through and then bring your
Paul
body.
Diesel had to fly with him to go
You're
to that Chinese man.
How we doing? Good. We're in the forward bomb bay. The aft bomb bay is behind us. Each hold 10,000 pounds worth of bombs. The tube up above you is how they get from the front of the airplane to the back. It's pressurized like the front and the back were.
Oh, this one?
Yes, sir.
Any idea what the payload of a Lancaster was?
I don't know.
I think, yeah, that was the second.
B-17 was
heaviest
10,000. I would imagine the Lancaster was probably similar.
Rudder for a second. Rudder. It's paid to
Now,
get in
did
here.
this plane fly missions in Korea?
This airplane did not. The B-29 did, but not
Yeah,
this
I
airplane. Yeah.
Okay.
They flew B-29s in Korea, but up until the MiG-15 came on the scene. And once they did, the MiG-15 was too fast for them. They were shooting down
they were-
B-29s, and they said, "That's it. We're not flying them
They
anymore."
were jet food.
Yep. So they quit flying them. They did use them for some surveillance missions and that sort of thing, but they never flew bombing missions after that.
So is this one just based in America the entire time as a trainer, or?
This one was. It was, by the time it came through the factory in Wichita, it completed in December of 1944. They finished out the aircraft and turned it over to the Army Air Force in March of 45. That was late enough in the war, they decided that they were going to form a radar training squadron because they had just started to introduce radar as target acquisition when they're doing their bombing to be able to identify their target.
Right.
And it was new at the time and they needed a lot of training for the crews to be proficient at it, so they decided we'll form a radar training squadron. So this airplane formed up in Wichita with the squadron, and the squadron was Snow White, the Seven Dwarfs, and the Wicked Witch. They always had 9 airplanes in a squadron. They formed up, they went to Elmira, New York, and they did training up there throughout the end of the war and through the Korean period.
Okay.
You ready? Yep. Why don't we take about 4 of you or so? Go ahead.
B-29 dock being pulled out of the desert, China Lake.
It's easier if you stick a leg through and then bring your body.
Also joining us here today, Mark Nova actually is the guy who did us in, he's our pilot command. Yesterday, he'll be flying with us tomorrow. And then the guy here in the middle is Dan Hooper. Dan is a longtime volunteer on the project, works at Spirit Aerospace in Wichita. And these 3 guys.
They got any interesting video documentaries on this thing?
that you can't do both fly and maintain these engines, so that's why they put the engine here.
Hi there, welcome aboard.
Thank you. What's below me? A turret or?
There would have been a turret if we had one. You would not be standing where he's at.
Yeah.
There's a turret up here and a turret down there, and they would almost touch.
Right.
That is the tunnel.
Can I crawl through there?
No.
I think this guy would be able to.
Yeah.
One sec.
Co-pilot, bombardier set, got an actual bomb site there.
How's that feel?
Who's sat in that seat? What radio?
That'd be the navigator.
Oh, the navigator sat there.
The radio operator sat right behind you.
Okay.
We have a
Down on the ladder a couple of steps and then lean back.
map of Japan for the navigator to find.
Oh yeah.
Any hurdles, any roadblocks in the way, but we finally overcame that.
So this was their 1945 GPS system, huh?
The issue was Doc, let's talk first about how it got its name Doc.
Well, all the 1945 GPS system
Sextant was the
would all been
essential
here.
nav equipment for travel across the ocean.
I was stationed at 1945 Air Force, Stewart Air Force Station in New York, and we were
Turn around, grab the bar. Watch out for sharp edges.
Sister squadron, we were flying B-29 at Griffith Air Force Station in New York. The squadron of B-29.
So what's your job here?
This was the flight engineering station. He kept the engines running, maintained the throttles and all. Pilots would just call for a power setting, and he was the one that sat it there in flight.
And then are you part of the flight crew?
Yeah, I'm one of the scanners in the back.
Okay.
Who happened to see Disney on Ice one weekend and came up with that idea. Little did I know that 40
It's quite roomy up here.
I would see
I
God.
imagine it gets pretty hot
In
though.
other cockpits. We're fortunate to have this good cloudy weather today to keep us cool. Yeah.
It was to be used as a target. Thank God they missed the target. It was preserved. I teased the Navy about that, thinking that they purposely missed it. But after all the other B-29s that were out there were destroyed, this particular one was pulled off into another test range, and it sat there for 42 years.
What condition was it in when you first saw it? I mean, today it's a beautiful specimen.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, it didn't look like that
Like
when
your
you went
gauges
out
here.
the first time. It was pretty much well intact. The only thing that we saw initially was
How the engineer was able to manage all the engines
and
and
that was to get under some.
So where's the main for engine RPMs?
engine RPMs.
Well, the main for yeah. So you basically have 4 of everything. Oh.
Yeah, if you notice,
Yeah,
there's
four
2
fuel
needles in
tanks.
each one.
Oh, I see how it works.
So 1
okay.
and 2 is here. It made it easier because
long
you just
did it
glance
take
up.
you to
If you
pull
see the
or
needles
pull
split,
or
you know there
whatever
was
you
something
Yeah.
wrong.
To get
It'd
Doc
catch
out
your eye
before
real
the
quick.
desert.
They're pretty smart.
that's what,
1945.
Well,
Huh?
we'll get this done in half an hour. 4 or 5 guys will be done.
No. How many miles it was a 5-day track.
He put a lot of it in.
So the
to the next town's airport.
bomb doors are open electronically right here, huh? By the
Yeah.
pilot? Or-
Bombardier controlled
Bombardier.
the doors.
Okay.
Pilot could do it too.
And that's like a mechanical computer up there, right? That's the bomb site?
That was the bomb site that fed an analog computer that was at the back of the airplane.
Yeah. I don't really know how that works, but I know that it was cutting edge technology then. So.
Study right now with the Fish and Wildlife Department.
Of course, when you got a nuclear bomb, you don't really need to be super accurate, though. So.
Keep you moving. We got people coming.
And you may not be able to find the airplane. 6 months later, the study was completed, and they had approved our route to remove the airplane to the next Mount airport. Part of it included
Get out of your way.
Watch your head. How we were going to overcome that. I thought a bulldozer would be the ideal situation. They said you do not disrupt the natural terrain of our desert. A railroad company 60 miles away heard of our dilemma and donated 800 railroad ties. And we built 3 bridges to get across that dry river bed. Accomplished the task, got it there in 5 days, with the understanding that I had an environmentalist in front of each landing gear for that 5-day trek at a considerable cost. But the end goal was accomplished. We got it to the next Towns airport.
One can only imagine that the environmentalists were there when the 29s were being towed out there, disturbing the whatever the devil crawls around in the desert.
Well, it happened. It happened. We were very thankful that we got it there and got it secured. Because I had to leave shortly for a red eye back to Cleveland, Ohio.
All right, now the guy that's standing next to you, if any of you get Sport Aviation or haven't seen it, pick up this month's issue. Jim Bush did a hell of a job on writing about this bird. And the cover photo alone is absolutely awesome what Jim did. Sure, yeah, if you got a copy, Dan, go ahead. This is, the article is fantastic, but the cover shot, I don't remember the EAA ever having a spread cover like this before. But look at that photo, isn't that pretty? That's authentic, that's not made up or anything like that. It's got a little photo touch to it, but not much. And the bit about you in the article is what really captured my interest. I went, this guy is all right. You at first went, no, I don't want anything to do with this thing, right?
Yeah, that's correct. The Boeing factory, right, building organization where it was built in 1934 in May 23rd, 2000.
We should say where that is.
We're Shaw campus. And the CEO and a co-worker of mine went out for a few minutes and said, here's 7 trucks pulled in there with all different kinds of pieces and parts of what looked like an airplane. And I asked my friend, I said, what are they going to do with this? Well, they're going to rebuild it. Okay. And he says, you're going to help them. No, you can't. Obligations. He said, I bet you can't leave it alone. 2 days later, the guy came over and asked me to build it. Just help me build a little tool. And the first I read, let's take a look at it. So I made him this little customized tool to take the landing gear out with. And they came back the next day and they sucker punched me. They patted me on the back. Oh, you gotta come see this? And I was hooked. If deep could not have not. Thanks to a lot of great friends and stuff, I have not been able to leave it alone. I made it here today. This is my first trip ever to Oshkosh, and this is so cool. This is beyond my expectations.
Talk a little bit, you make it sound so simple, Dan. This wasn't a thing where we need this tool made, and you went down the basement, and maybe 2 hours later you came upstairs and here it is. Talk about that, is that?
Well,
what's so big deal?
I'm a jig builder, a tool maker by trade. It comes
down too far, right? And bust up the tail.
Concept that will take the whole airplane in the right position so that other parts can be attached to it.